Hey guys, KingRazzel here, and today we're going to be reviewing Dead Rising HD, the latest in Capcom's string of re-release ports to the new consoles. This game released on September the 13th for the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC, and as with my other reviews, I'll be reviewing this game based on its story, gameplay, and value. But without any more ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. The story opens up with photojournalist Frank West heading into the closed-off town of Willamette, Colorado via helicopter after receiving a tip that something big is going down there. He sees the National Guard is guarding the borders of the town and asks the pilot to drop him off on top of the town's mall, telling the pilot to return in 3 days after he's gotten his scoop. He enters the mall and finds several survivors barricading the mall's entrance against the zombie hordes that have taken over the mall. But after the world's strongest lady tosses two big men aside like ragdolls,
Madonna! My Madonna is out there! Oh,
What are you thinking? Lift it off!
oh, wait, baby! I'm saving you, baby! Wait for me, sweetie!
the mall becomes infested and Frank has to follow a man named Brad to safety. From here, the story experience is pretty much up to you. You can completely ignore the main story and just survive if you wish. However, should you follow your journalistic duties and follow the main storyline, you'll find yourself mixed up in a terrorist conspiracy chasing after a man named Carlito. The story is, in my opinion, quite interesting. Most of the characters are unique and have their own reasons for being in the mall. Frank to get his story, Brad and Jesse just doing their jobs, and Carlito for vengeance. I also think that they did a pretty good job of toggling between the more silly characters and the more serious ones. The main story stays mainly serious throughout the game, with the more silly aspects coming into play with the psychos, which we're going to talk about in the next section. There's also the aspect of getting multiple endings, which is always something that I like to see in games. I believe there are a total of 6, and most of them are based around the same conclusion with just different twists at the end. There's also another ending that the game has, which is in the overtime mode, which is heralded as the true ending. But in order to talk about that, I'd have to talk about further events in the story, so I'm just going to say that it's there. Dead Rising is an open-world game with lots to do. The majority of the game's combat is melee, but there's also guns in the game as well as vehicles. Items you pick up will slowly break over time, so you're constantly in search for better and more effective ways of taking out the undead hordes. You may be thinking that this would mean you're constantly without a weapon, but at any time you're basically 10 steps away from a weapon because pretty much everything here is a weapon. You can toss CDs at a zombie, hit them with your skateboard, or just beat them to death with a fish. Each weapon, of course, has varying degrees of usefulness, but it's always fun to grab something that you've not used before and see how you can handle a zombie with it. This game also has what I would call a risk and reward system. So Salmon isn't getting the job done like you'd hoped, well, you're in luck because there's a gun store down the hallway there. However, someone's already thought of that and isn't really in the mood to share, so in order to get those guns, you're going to have to kill them and take them. Now, the risk here is the save system. It's like the old Resident Evil games where you had to save from a save point or you'd lose all the gameplay after you died. This is something that's kind of been lost to modern games, but it offers the aspect of second-guessing yourself if you're really ready to get this fight going or not, because if he kills you, you're probably going to lose about a half an hour of your progression time, which makes these encounters a little bit more engaging to me personally. So who's holding these powerful weapons, you may be thinking, and that would be the psychos. The psychos function as a portion of the side missions. Typically, Otis will call you over the walkie-talkies and tell you that he's spotted something on the security feed and that you should check it out. About half of the time, it's just an overwhelmed pedestrian that you need to save with their kamikaze AI, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And the other half, it's a psycho who's lost their grip on reality in this time of crisis. I'd say the psychos are probably my favorite thing about this game. They're each unique and they have their own issues and their own fighting styles, and basically serve as mini-bosses, granting excellent rewards for those who beat them. I'll give the example of Adam the chainsaw-wielding clown. He's one of the first psychos that you encounter, and he's upset that since the zombies came, no one laughs at him anymore. Beating him will grant you 2 small chainsaws, which are extremely powerful melee weapons. These psychos are often over-the-top, silly enemies that I just find really interesting, and each one gets their own little intro, as well as their own little death scene, which allows them to further shine, and it's just something that I really enjoyed about the game. Now on to what is, in my opinion, the biggest issue with this game, the AI. Now, if you don't already know, Dead Rising has been notorious for its AI issues since its release back on the Xbox 360 back in 2006, and unfortunately, this game does nothing to remedy that. So a typical side mission will have you going to the mall and rescuing a survivor to bring them back to the security room where it's safe. You'll be given a time frame in which to do so, and once you've gotten there, you'll need to coax the survivor through various methods into accompanying you. So far so good, but once they've joined you, they've suddenly got a death wish. For whatever reason, if you do not baby the AI every step of the way, they will go off on their own and basically just start pushing zombies to get a reaction. Let me give you 2 examples. I'll show you the clip and then I'll talk about it for a second. This was during a story mission nearish the start of the game, sorry if it's a slight spoiler, but for whatever reason, Brad just did not understand how to take advantage of Carlito while I kept him occupied, which made this fight quite difficult considering the enemy AI basically has a laser sight surgically attached to Frank's balls.
Help me! Come on!
In that clip, I had just saved 4 survivors and was making my way back to the safe room. They all had weapons, I took the path with the least amount of zombies, and in the end, they all died except for that one woman, even if I did technically shoot that one guy in the face. Another thing I should probably talk about since it's a major part of Frank's character is photo-taking aspect of the game. At any time, you can pull out a camera and snap a photo for some experience points. Photos in different categories can get you points such as horror, erotica, outtake, and brutality to name a few. It's an aspect that's in this game, but it's not one that I personally use that much, and thankfully it's not forced upon you. It should also be noted that this game is on a timer. By that I mean you have 72 in-game hours to do whatever you're going to do in the game before the helicopter comes to pick you up. This means that you're going to have to divvy up your time effectively if you want to save a majority of the people. There's also the overtime mode as well as the infinite mode, which allows you to just stay in the mall for as long as you can. The rules are kind of changed up a bit in it, spawns are different, and your health slowly decreases, but it's pretty interesting. Overall, I really enjoyed the gameplay. The AI is a massive annoyance, but everything else is good enough that hindrance didn't ruin the experience for me. I also encountered one small glitch that I'll go ahead and show you now. I don't know what happened there, all the models just went black and the sounds kicked off, but the game functioned the same, and after I went back into another load screen, everything was fixed. In total, this game took me around 12 to 13 hours to complete. That's the basic mode as well as the overtime mode, and that's not including the probably 2 to 3 times that I died, losing around an hour of progress each time, because I'm a lazy saver. The game is also only $20, so it's quite a bit cheaper than a typical release, even though it's just a re-release. So to wrap all this up, I enjoyed my time with the game quite a bit. I played the game back when it came out on the 360 many years ago, and coming back to it on the PlayStation 4 was just, for me, an enjoyable rediscovery. Some things I didn't like about the game were the time system can be limiting if you're going for trophies and achievements especially, and the AI is just difficult to deal with at times. Some things I liked about the game were the story, the psychos were interesting and entertaining, and the sheer variety of weapons is just fun to play around with. I think I'm going to give this game an 8 out of 10. The only glaring issue that I have with this game is the AI. Outside of that, I enjoyed pretty much everything about this game. Alright guys, so that is pretty much all that I have to say about this game. Again, I played this one on the 360 a long time ago, and I can remember enjoying it on that, but playing it again really reaffirmed my opinion on it, and I personally think that this game aged quite well. The next game in the series actually has a port coming out again on the same systems later this month. I believe it's on the 27th. I don't know if I'll be reviewing that one or not because I played that one back when it released as well, and I didn't really get very into it. Plus, there's another game that comes out on the same day called The Dwarves, which is a tactical role-playing game, and I'm considering getting that one, but I haven't quite made up my mind yet. If nothing else, though, I will be reviewing Paper Mario Color Splash, so stay tuned for that. That comes out on October the 7th. But anyways, guys, I thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.